it's Cindy, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are back in San Sequoia in Anchorpoint Wharf, and we are building on this 30 by 20 lot yet again, but today we are doing something a little different. We are building some playable apartments because I know if, like myself, many of us were very excited at the idea that maybe more playable apartments would be added with the new world, and sadly, that was not the case. So, if you were also disappointed because you love playing in or decorating apartments, then this is definitely the build for you. And in fact, this is going to be a mini series on the channel. So, if you like this build, you're going to want to subscribe, perhaps even notify, but you're going to want to stick around or come back for more because there is going to be more. So, as I said, the inspiration for this build today has come from the beautiful, super colorful apartments that you can find in the world of Anchorpoint Wharf in San Sequoia. You can see here, I started the video with pulling out the live edit object, which is just a set dressing for the neighborhood, which you can see here I've plunked down at the back of this lot, and I'm using this just as a reference point. That's why I've left it out so I can refer to it periodically. But unfortunately, this is not a playable object, so that's why we're making some playable apartments today. And as you can see, I am continuing with the super colorful, fun, funky theme that these apartments are built on. And we've got lots of colors, bright yellows, some pinks. I decided I really, really liked this orange color, so we've gone with that. And these were just really fun, unusual kind of build. So I hope that you enjoy it. I am going to apologize if there is a lot of zooming in and out and spinning around. I am, as I said, referring to that building at the back and also zooming around looking in the neighborhood at the other colorful apartments that are placed around to kind of get a bit of an idea and make sure that this build melds in with the rest of the neighborhood. But I have tried to cut out as much of that zooming and spinning as possible so it doesn't make anyone motion sick. But yeah, just apologies if it does. But if you enjoy this build and you would like to have it in your game, let me take a moment to say it is available on the gallery. I am uploading just the shell initially, which is what this build today is going to include, is just this exterior portion. I'm not actually going to furnish any of the apartments today. But there are going to be 6 units in this apartment. So there's 2 units per floor and there's 3 floors. So there you go, 6 units. And the idea that I have for this is I am going to furnish those apartments in separate videos, and I would love to know, let me know in the comments what ideas you have for families that maybe you're playing right now in your game or that you'd like to see living in this apartment. So drop those ideas down in the comments because I'll use those ideas to do the apartments inside and furnish those apartments based on your ideas. I have a couple of ideas just to get us started, but I would love to get some feedback from you, and I think that would be super fun. And once I have all of the apartments decorated, then I will upload this lot a second time with all of the furnished units available. But the shell will be there earlier on, so if you just want to have the shell and furnish them yourself or just use it, you know, for set dressing of your own but playable in your neighborhood, then you absolutely can. So anyway, you can see we've mostly got the exterior done here, and I've gone with, you know, this colorful siding, like I said, and I'm putting in some super colorful windows. The green windows that I've used on the left and right sides, just FYI, are the high school years windows that your Sims can exit in and out of. Now, they won't be usable for that purpose on the second story and above, but those windows that are placed on the ground floor can be exited and I guess entered by your Sims. So I think that's a really fun idea. And I think definitely one of those ground level apartments is going to have a family with, say, maybe at least one teenager. So they might be able to sneak out of the house. I think that's a fun idea. But yeah, just mixing and matching the windows, and we've got some awnings going on the front here because I saw a lot of that in the other set dressing objects similar to this apartment, so I wanted to include those features as well. We're going to have some backyard garden space, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. And then here inside, you might have noticed some things kind of changing, popping in and out. And the reason for that is when I initially started building the inside and placing the stairs, I came up with this super crazy, wacky, complicated stair layout, which honestly made no sense. So I went back in after I thought about the lot for a little bit. I built it and then I took a break and came back and I thought, you know what, this isn't working for me. So I redid all of the stairs to a far more sensible layout, might I add. But that's why you might notice that the layout was partially done and then it changed and things might be popping in and out, but that is the reason why. But be assured that there is a much more sensible layout. And now we're just adding in the floor tiles and the wallpapers. I love this university wallpaper. I think that works really well for the interior hall space. And I actually use for the floor tile a linoleum tile from the bowling stuff kit. And I don't think I've ever used that tile before, but I think it works really well in this space. So super excited about that. And I think I'm going to have to use that tile in my regular builds more often because it was pretty cool. So anyway, the downstairs ground floor here, you can see I am changing out the wallpaper. I actually changed that like 3 different times, but eventually we get there in the end. And now we're just starting in on the landscaping. So we've got one of the new signs here from Growing Together, and I'm just pulling out the live edit foliage, fauna, no, flora and foliage items, the plants basically from live edit, because I thought I would use some of those, which also helps to cut down the cost, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, if you do decide to download this shell and add it to your game, if you want to have a sim own it, it is 45,581 simoleons, so about 45,500 simoleons. And, you know, if you do place families here, then obviously you could use the roommate system. If you have university installed, then you could, you know, have other Sims living in the other units, or you could simply use the locked door feature and, you know, divide the space up that way and just make sure that the household that you're playing is in one particular unit inside. But there's a lot of flexibility there. So, you know, play with it however you want. And if you do download the shell and decide to decorate the units yourself, I would love to see what you end up doing with it. So definitely, you know, tag me on Twitter or Instagram and show me what you make with it. I think that would be super fun. So I really liked how this little garden plot space turned out right at the front of the apartments. The kind of the base of it is also a live edit live live edit object. I can speak, sure. So that's where that has come from. And then I love this area. Now, I am a city cyclist. I am an urban cyclist. I cycle everywhere in town. I do my grocery shopping with my bicycle. I run all my errands on my bicycle. I go to and from work on my bicycle. I cycle year round. Wind, rain, snow, sleet, hail, we get it all where I live. So I was super excited to be able to add some bicycles and this little covered area to the outside of the building. I think that's really realistic to where I live and very common in Sweden. All the apartments have that, so I definitely wanted to include that with this apartment space. And then we're just adding more to the landscaping. I was going to use that live edit object, ash tree, I think it was, but then I was looking around the neighborhood and I realized that whatever these lollipop kind of looking trees are, I'm just going to call them lollipop trees because that's what they make me think of. These were used a lot in this area of the world for this particular neighborhood, so it made sense to use these ones instead. So just making the landscaping consistent with the type of flowers that I'm using. I love these. I think they're yellow poppies. I've heard that they might be like the state flower for California, perhaps. So just adding more of those in. And now we're moving on to the back garden space. So I wanted to include an area for your Sims, if you have any Sims living here, that they could have kind of an outdoor area, and we didn't need that reference object anymore. So we've deleted that out to give us some more space back here while we're building. And my idea for this back garden was that it could be like an area for your Sims to not just hang out, but also maybe hold some parties. And especially since we got some new events with the pack, then, this might be a nice place to hold a family reunion, for example, or even a little baby shower if it's a nice time of year. So that was my idea behind this area. We get some tables with plenty of chairs in if you do throw a party or some sort of event. There's a little grilling area as well. I also plop in some planter boxes because, again, here in Sweden, it's quite common if you live in an apartment complex for there to be raised planter beds that you can hire out and plant your own vegetables and have kind of like a little community garden. So I wanted to model that here as well. So we get some planter boxes in, and I also plunk down a monkey bar set for any children that might be living in this apartment unit. So here we have the tables in and the chairs, and I really leaned into this whole, like pink and bright yellows and all the funky colors. So we've got, the nice pink umbrellas. The monkey bars end up being a nice bright yellow. The rubbish bin out back is, I think, like a green color or some such. So yeah, there it is. It's green after all. So yeah, really leaning into those fun colors and just like the funky vibes of this area. I also later came back in here, and I didn't show it on camera, but I added in some palm trees as well. And here we are doing the final change of the ground floor wallpaper. This is the actual wallpaper that it ends up staying. When I was looking at the other similar buildings to this in the world, I realized, oh, they've used the white shiplap, the new wallpaper that came with Growing Together. So I swapped out what I had for that one and just adding some terrain paint in here where it makes sense. And then we're actually going to grab some more of these pretty yellow poppies and the daisies and so forth, because as you can see here in the neighborhood, in the areas around the buildings and the sidewalks, they have lots of little like wildflowers just kind of growing every which way haphazardly. So I wanted to mimic that around the building as well. And to be honest, I might have gone a little bit overboard with this. Apologies, but it was just so cute and pretty. So yeah, let me know. I don't know. Do you think this is too much? But it's in this area where I add in the palm trees. There's 3 palm trees because, again, in this area right next to like the waterfront, there are a lot of palm trees when you zoom out and look at the neighborhood from a distance. So it made sense to add some palm trees in here to, again, just blend it into the environment a little bit more. So we're nearly finished with placing down all those extra plants. And oh yeah, then I forgot this side, so we have to go back and do that. But I would love to know, let me know in the comments, what kind of families are you playing with in Growing Together? What kind of configurations do you have? Are they single parent? Are they multiple parents? What ages? I'd love to find out, so let me know. So here we are inside, and I'm just putting in some mailboxes. I am using the City Living apartment mailboxes. Obviously, I'm putting 6 in because there's 6 units, but if you only play with one family, if you notice that there's some problems with the mailboxes, then, delete out the extra ones that you don't need, and it shouldn't be a problem. I also go in off camera and I add the city living trash chutes that are used for apartments. I put those on the second and the third floor, but here you can see I'm putting actual rubbish bins on the main floor. So there are trash chutes available for the higher levels. And then we're plopping in some of these nice high school years lights with the Art Deco vibes. And I leave the pot lights in the units. So again, if you do download this and you want to decorate it, there are some lights there so you can see what you're doing. But we're nearly finished now, but it is coming along very, very quickly. So I really hope you like how this turned out. If you did enjoy this video, then a like is always much appreciated. And maybe consider subscribing to the channel. You can click that bell to be notified. Again, this is a mini series, so if you want to see more, might be a good idea. But again, if you want to add this to the gallery, the shell is currently available, and I will upload a second copy once I have finished doing all of the units inside. So do let me know in the comments some ideas for families you'd like to see in here. But that's pretty much everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Here are the screenshots, and have a lovely day.